if it turned out a ward is found out to be a mental health ward section illegally, and it is a crime itself, what can the police stop the section if they know it's legal?
In the UK, the police do have certain powers under the Mental Health Act 1983. If they believe someone is suffering from a mental disorder that needs immediate
Well,
care
no,
or
it's an interesting thing. It's not about that. It's about if the situation actually shows that it's actually illegal, and the person didn't need mental health care, and it is illegal, it is an organised crime situation or similar.
I see what you mean. So you're asking if the authorities, like the police, can step in if they realize that the whole situation is more than just a misunderstanding, that it's actually something criminal or
Yeah.
a form of organized crime.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They get involved and set things right. So, hey, what's on your mind now?
So they could basically say, no, this is a legal section. It's not. They could actually deal with it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If they find out it's an illegal section, the police can just step in and say, no, this is not lawful,
Yeah.
and they'll handle it from there.
Right.
Anything else?
No.
from the spin that he puts on the course, or has put on the course, of the conflict generally. We know because of his continual reference to the Obama nuclear deal. He posted about it on Truth Social, rubbished it again. And it is one of the key metrics of success in this for Donald Trump. Does he reach a better deal on Iran's nuclear ambitions than Barack Obama did? Right now, that's by no means guaranteed.
Let's take a look at some other stories this Monday. Former SNP Chief Executive Peter Murrell has arrived in court in Edinburgh. This is ahead of a hearing on embezzlement charges. Mr Murrell, who's the ex-husband of Nicola Sturgeon, is accused of embezzling £459,000 from the party. The 61-year-old previously appeared in court. This was back in March, where he made no plea. The World Health Organization says more than 900 suspected Ebola cases have now been identified in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Most of these cases are in the Ituri province, which is in the centre of the outbreak. Health officials say the outbreak now poses a very high risk for the country, but the chance of the disease spreading globally is still low. The Prime Minister has backed a review of a rape case sentencing that saw 2 teenage boys spare jail after raping 2 teenage girls in separate incidents. The Attorney General will review the sentence given by Judge Nicholas Rowland, who said on Thursday he wanted to avoid criminalising the very young boys. An RAF jet carrying the Defence Secretary had its signal jammed as it flew near the Russian border. John Healey was on his way home from visiting British troops in Estonia when the plane's GPS was disabled for the entire flight. The MOD described it as a reckless Russian interference. Coming up after the break, we'll be speaking to Rob Burrows' widow, Lindsay, about her mission to help families navigate grief.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking,
Thank you so much.
trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story? I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching. Good to see you again. How are you? Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back. Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
It'll be all over the wall.
I'm just going to put the body armor on. I'm Yelta Hakim.
Lindsay Barrow, the wife of the late rugby league star and motor neuron disease campaigner Rob Barrow, is on a mission to help families navigate grief.
New research from the charity Celebration Day found that more than half of parents avoid directly talking about death with their children.
Well, now, Lindsay is working with the charity to create resources to make those difficult conversations a little better. And I'm pleased to say that Lindsay joins us now. Lindsay, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let's just get into Celebration Day, because that's today. It's all about remembering those loved ones we've lost. How will you be celebrating it today?
Yes, the Celebration Day is an annual national day held on the last Monday of May, and it encourages people to honour and remember those loved ones that are no longer with us. So, we will pause, we will remember Rob, we try and talk about Rob every day, but it's just important that we have that special time in remembrance of Rob today.
And Lindsay, when Rob passed away, your little ones, well, they were little essentially, and aside from dealing with the grief, talk to me a bit about what was hard about explaining the whole process to your 3 kids.
Yeah, incredibly hard. I think, as a parent, you just want to protect your children and have to, deal with your own grief as well as 3, grieving children is incredibly difficult. And, like you said, statistics show that 53% of parents avoid talking about death with their children. And I was one of those percentages because I feared talking about death with the children. Death to me was incredibly sad. But actually what I've learned is that it's okay to be sad and it's okay to talk about death, and actually, grief is invisible, so it's so important that we do talk about grief and bereavement. And from September this year, the UK government are actually introducing grief and bereavement into the national curriculum. So in collaboration with National Celebration Day, they've introduced some Finding the Words packs, which have been launched for families in school, which help parents, carers, school teachers to talk about grief and loss in a safe and caring environment, which I think is so important. And I think for me as a parent, it was always about being so positive in front of the children, but actually showing the children that it's okay to be sad and it's okay to grieve. And I think that's really important.
Lindsay, it's Jackie here. I do the sport on Sky News, and I was just wondering, how you are, because it's 2 years since Rob died. Have things got any easier?
Yeah, I think anyone that's gone through grief knows that you have your good and your bad days. But the children keep me busy. The children are my priority, and they're the reason that I wake up every morning with a big smile on my face. And we're so lucky to have 3 beautiful children who are just very much like Rob. They're brave, they're courageous, and they just love life. And I think none of us know what's around the corner. None of us know what path life is going to take us on, so it's important that we live each day to its fullest, and that's exactly what Rob wanted us to do, and Rob showed us the way forward.
And what are your coping strategies? Because I guess you suppose he's got such a big body of work from when he played rugby, so many tries you can look back at. I mean, do you ever feel little bits of action on your phone if you're feeling a bit low and you have a quick look?
Yeah, so for us as a family, we're very lucky to have such outpouring of love and support from the rugby community. I think from the country in general, we were incredibly lucky. But for us as a family, we did memory making with the children. So they've got little hand models that they made with Rob. We've got jewellery. We've got memory boxes that the children made actually at school. The school were brilliant in supporting the children. So we've got those special memories, and like you say, we're so lucky to have so much video footage, audio of Rob and his playing career. So, it's simple things. A song might come on the radio and they'll say, that reminds me of Daddy because that was Daddy's favourite song, or, simple things just to keep his memory alive, just to keep those connections, I think is so important.
Lindsay, you've actually never stopped, have you? Whether it's fundraising, whether it's awareness building, particularly for uncared unpaid carers, actually. Do you think Rob would be looking down on you now and be totally amazed by the woman that you've become in the shadow of grief?
Oh, that's very kind, thank you. I hope so. I think, our story was about trying to shine a light on NND and for me personally on carers and the amazing work that unpaid carers do. And we just wanted to share our story and said that, if our story helps another person or another family that's going through a difficult time, then that's ultimately why we shared our story. So I hope Rob's looking down. We're incredibly proud of Rob, incredibly proud to be Rob's wife and to have him as father of our 2 children. So yeah, I hope he's looking down with a big smile on his face.
Oh, Lindsay, it's so good to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So incredibly important to talk about grief. I know we've both lost our mums.
Yeah, we lost someone to young, and I lost someone for university, like right before university, and I did find that, kids my age, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, couldn't talk about it, couldn't ask me about it. So everyone just sort of pretended it never happened. And so you're kind of on your own.
Yeah, no, totally. And then you go on to have kids, for example, and then you think, well, how do you balance the story of their grandparent? So we created, it's like an album book of pictures of my mum and her stories from a teenager up till those very last days. And so her name and her voice is very quite common in our house. They didn't know her, but they know that Nanny Jen was an important part of my life. So it's just passing on that conversation. So I think, yeah, Lindsay's campaign, talking about it where you can, so it isn't that elephant in the room, which can make you feel really isolated, which I imagine you would have felt as a teenager.
No, I think people don't like to talk about it. They're awkward. I mean, even now, my son's got a friend who recently lost his father, and none of his other friends bring it up. It's just too awkward to. How are you without your dad? It's just too awkward a conversation. It's very difficult. Maybe younger children are better at it, but I know teenagers definitely are not.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, that was a really lovely conversation. Thanks for joining me for that. Let's give you the latest weather now.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors Sky News Weather.
And the hot and sunny weather that continues this week with a record-breaking bank holiday Monday on the cards after a warm and humid night. Temperatures will start to rise across most of the UK, the exception being northern Scotland where it remains cooler with some patchy rain. Otherwise, the heat wave continues with temperatures forecast to hit highs of 34 Celsius. And it is set to be the hottest May day on record. If you're not a fan of the heat, it will be cooler by the coast thanks to the sea breeze.
All Clear Travel Insurance proudly sponsors Sky News Weather.
Yeah, Jackie, you've got all the sport coming up. There's loads to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, the final day, there was quite a lot to resolve. The most important thing, who was going to go down? Would it be Tottenham? Would it be West Ham? And it's the West Ham fans waking up this morning feeling incredibly sad, and some of them maybe rethinking their season tickets. I mean, they did play very well yesterday, but too little too late to go to the final day. But it was Tottenham who saved. They secured their Premier League status and will bring all the action from a very eventful conclusion to the season. And those lovely pictures of Arsenal lifting Mikel Arteta and the Premier League trophy.
God, World Cup is just weeks away and the excitement is building across the football world.
Well, the spotlight will soon fall on the game's biggest talents and the teams chasing football's ultimate prize. Well, joining us now is the French football journalist and author Julien Lawrence. And Julien, you've written the definitive biography of one of the biggest stars in world football, Kylian Mbappe, who I think it's fair to say some English fans don't particularly like because of what happened when France played England in the World Cup in Russia. But you know, he came from a really humble background, has risen to be one of the greatest stars in the world, and you know him. What is he like?
Yes, thank you for having me on. It's a fascinating story because, like you said, it's a story that we know in football, that we see in a lot of the countries. But for somebody from a council estate in the north of Paris to become the best player in the world and one of the best players in the world right now is pretty incredible. He's a fascinating character because I think he was just made different. He was made with this kind of mindset that only the superstars and the prodigies have. If you look at every sport, really, from Kobe Bryant if you're a basketball fan, or Max Verstappen if you're a Formula One fan, in football, the likes of Messi and Cristiano, they're just born winners, aren't they? They're just leaders by example on the pitch, off the pitch. The mentality is very different to even the other very good players in football, for example. And that's what he has. He's got such a drive, such an ambition from a very young age. You know, he learned the Marseillaise, the French anthem, at 3 years old because he was convinced that one day he would play for France at the World Cup and win the World Cup. So all of this just is very different, I think, to a lot of the trajectories that football players have.
Yeah, that is an amazing story. He was a World Cup winner. He was a World Cup winner as a teenager. He does come across a little arrogant, I have to say. But did he change after that? You know, after the world sort of, you know, knew his skill and started to know more about him and just how amazing he was. Did he change after that, or has he, as you said, always had this sort of streak of I am going to be the best?
Yes, I think that you're right. You're absolutely spot on. That for him in his head, that was always that, and he had steps along the way, and winning the World Cup was one of them. Maybe not so early, maybe not at 19, but he felt programmed for it anyway. I mean, I think from a very young age, again, he felt programmed in his mind, in his head, to get to the top. And the World Cup at 19 in Russia was incredible. And 4 years later in Qatar, obviously, when he took France all the way to the final, to have this incredible battle with Argentina and Leo Messi in the final, scoring a hat-trick, which obviously is very, very rare, was again another step towards this greatness and towards winning more and being the best. And yes, he didn't win the Qatar World Cup, obviously, and lost on penalties. But this, in his head, this is just part of the plan, really, and the plan that he mapped up himself. It's not, we talk sometimes about Project Mbappe, and his parents are very present. Obviously, they were very present from the beginning, and they had a clear idea of what was required to make it. But I think most importantly, it was in his mind, in his own head, that he had a plan to get to the top.
Well, he's had an amazing season with Real Madrid, 48 goals, 50 appearances. Anybody would want them on their team. Any team would want him. But is he a good teammate? Is he a good bloke to have?
Okay. Oh, I pressed up it, but it's fine. But deeply thank you, lady. I just I need my I have a little bit of a come down on the quite an amount of pressure. Hopefully it's okay to
Yes, I imagined you'd do something like this. Back in the cage, P13. Q12 and P13 escaped from their pens. Q12 is neutralized, but P13 is still out, so I'll need assistance. Remember not to bruise its brain. P13, you win the crime contest. Back in the cage.
Give me the case. 这又发现了是吧？我是不知道，起来取证。
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
Her name should be Ganima. She'll need to be strong, like her mother. But if it's a boy,
Then we name him Leto. So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
war feeds on itself. I fight. Warriors fight back. I've done the best I can to protect my family. How did Father do it? Your
I must not die. Yet.
I want to go for now. I have another shower. See you later. Thank you. I recorded this. Yeah, I made it live, but I recorded it. I can make a video. See you later.